Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the DC Coin World International coin channel. And once in a while you get a coin that's just special, and this one on the left here is certainly that. It's a 1973 uncirculated United States quarter. It's a Washington quarter, Washington facing left, liberty above his head, in God we trust under his chin, 1973 down here, and a D back here for the Denver Mint. This is a circulating one that we got out of our change, and you can see that it's quite different. So how do you get an uncirculated United States quarter? Well, it's almost impossible usually to get them from the bank. Now, some people, what they do is they go to the bank when they first come out, and you can get a quarter, and you can actually say that it hasn't been circulated much, but it certainly came to the bank, so it's not really an uncirculated quarter. However, it might still rate at a mint state 65 or more, even if you get it from the bank. But this particular one, we got it in the envelope. And so there are the envelopes from the U.S. Mint. You can actually buy them. And this is the Uncirculated Mint Set. This is one of the so-called PDS sets. In other words, it had the Philadelphia, the Denver, and the San Francisco Mint coins mixed together. They didn't have a San Francisco Mint quarter, but they did have a Philadelphia quarter, and I can show you that one. I've left that one in the plastic. And there it is right there. Probably should have taken that one out just to preserve this one we have down below in a plastic. But so that's the Philadelphia Mint, and you can see that it has no mint mark here. So this comes in an uncirculated mint set. The U.S. Mint sells them. I think they sold them for $6 in 1973, and they're currently worth $12 or more, in part because you might get one of these. This coin, I'm guessing, would rate somewhere around a mint state 65 or above, which would make it worth probably $8 to $10. We handle our coins, and so I'm going to be very careful handling this, but I want to show you, if you tip it up on the edge, you see just even the edges of these coins is pretty fantastic. So it's a copper, nickel-clad copper. You can kind of see the copper tints in there. And then we flip it over, and you'll see that this has about as much detail as you'll ever see on an eagle in the back. A little bit of a dot there for extra metal, and that'll happen sometimes. So we're talking about how do you get a uncirculated set, or how do you get an uncirculated coin. What they do at the U.S. Mint, they actually go and pick these coins out, and back when they did the 1973 set, they would actually ship them to San Francisco. So this Denver Mint coin would get shipped to San Francisco, and then it would get put in a mint set. If we look down here, we see it says $quarter at the bottom. We have the olive branch down below. We have the eagle holding the arrows with the ribbon across, and down in here you can actually see the feathers in between. You can see some feathering on the legs. Not perfect, but still pretty darn good. Feathering all up through the body. Really good detail over here with how the wings are spread. The head is just fantastic. You can see the little tuft of hair behind. You can see the eye. You can see the beak. Now we can change the light on this a little bit, because the light sometimes makes it look a little different. And so if we change it, we can see that we have some pretty good definition there. Right above the eagle's head, it says E pluribus unum. And of course, around the top, it says United States of America. So that's what a uncirculated coin looks like from the United States in 1973. Other countries do the uncirculated also, including United Kingdom, which puts out these, they call so-called brilliant uncirculated sets, among other things. Canada does an uncirculated set, and again, they have it in the plastic. And this is the 1973 itself, and you can see it's a little bit, let me put it the other way, it's a little tiny bit smaller than the US quarter. Not by much, but just like by a tiny bit. It also has a different kind of shine to it, which is interesting. The Canadian quarters are essentially pure nickel. The United States quarters are mostly nickel with a little bit of copper. The United States nickels are not that much, are a copper nickel blend, and the Canadian nickels are a nickel, almost pure nickel. Now, 1973 is kind of a fun year for Canada because they have the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on the backs. It's 25 cents Canada, 1873 to 1973. And Canada started doing these kind of commemorative issues well before we did. Of course, we did one for the quarter and many of the coins in 1976. This particular one, we have this 1973 because there is a version of this that's worth hundreds of dollars. What they did was when they changed from 1972 to 1973, they changed the front a little bit. In the new fronts, what they did is they put it so the eye goes straight to one of the dots. That's one of the ways you can tell it. They also changed it so that the image of Queen Elizabeth is a different size. They also changed the number of dots that go around the outside of the coin. And so dots, they call them beads. So if you get one of these that has 132 beads instead of the 100, has a large portrait on it instead of the small portrait, and has an eye that points in between the beads, you're talking a minimum in this shape of $300 to $500 in this uncirculated shape. However, they estimate that there's well less than 10,000 of those, and they haven't found them all. Again, I want to put these two together again just so you can see just a quite different sheen between the pure nickel and the copper nickel blend. And you can actually, when you look at it this way, you can see the size difference. Now let's not ignore this one here. This is a Denver Mint coin too. It's been circulated. We're talking about almost 60 years of circulation. So it's been around a long time, and you can see what happens as it gets circulated. The rim actually wears down. This might look like it's a offset coin. It is not in any way. The rim just got worn down right around the edge, and you can tell the rim got worn down. You look it up, and you see that it doesn't have the rim sticking out as much. So let's put these two together, and you'll see this is a worn down rim. That's not. It actually changes the size. It actually changes the view of the back. And if we look at the back of this one, we can see there are no feathers there, hardly at all. You can't really tell that there is chest feathers. You can see a lot of bumps on there. You can't really tell that there's a ribbon tying these arrows together. Maybe if you knew it, you could guess it was one there. You can't tell as much of a tuft of behind the eagle's head, and you can't see the eye very well. So when you get a circulated coin, it wears it down, and it wears it down quite a bit. How much is the uncirculated version? Again, $8 to $10. Is there a Philadelphia version? Yeah, you can get the Philly and the uncirculated, which we just showed you, and you can get it in the circulated, and this is the circulated. One of the last things I want to show you is that these all have the initials of the engraver on them, John Flanagan. You can kind of see that here, but let's look what it looks like on an uncirculated coin when you look at those initials. Let me tip it up just right, and you can definitely see them now. Well, you can definitely see the bumps. This one's so shiny that you can almost can't see the initials there, but there is clearly a J and an F there. But it's, again, the shiny part of this coin. It's just hard to get that up, but it's very definite. You can also look at the D here and see this is clearly a D here with a hole in the center. And if we look to the D, you can tell that probably is a D also, but they definitely change over time also. All right, well, that's all we have today from the DC Coinwell International Coin Channel. I'll give you one more look at that just beautiful United States quarter, an uncirculated version of the 1973, purchased in an uncirculated set. And if you look at this one, it just magnificent.